Hello and welcome again to one of our videos made by us here at the Universitas Islam Internasional Indonesia. I'm Farish A and I'm a political historian at the Faculty of Social Sciences. Now, despite my background in social sciences, I want to talk about the hard sciences today. And I want to argue why we in the social sciences and humanities ought to do some work and to spend some of our time understanding and reading up, the hard sciences as well, physics, biology, chemistry, because a lot of the discoveries, a lot of the things that happen in the hard sciences actually also have an impact on how we in the social sciences and humanities do our work. So I'll just start by saying that, I have many academic hobbies, and when I'm free, I spend a lot of my time actually reading up the hard sciences. I spent years reading higher mathematics, physics, and over the last 2 years, I've been very interested in astrophysics, about planets and celestial bodies in the solar system and in the cosmos. Now, why should I do that? How can that possibly benefit my work? My work focuses on 19th century colonial Southeast Asia, and much of my writing is about how the process of colonial capitalism altered the social and political landscape of Southeast Asian society from the colonial era to the post-colonial present. So what on earth does astrophysics have to do with my own domain of research? Well, actually quite a lot. The reason why I find astrophysics interesting is because as we read more into it, we discover a lot of developments in astrophysics that have implications beyond the field of astrophysics, but also have implications in the humanities. And one of the things that I've learned as I delve deeper into astrophysics is how we should understand our conception of knowledge. Now, my work, I'm a historian, so much of my work relies on visible evidence, archival evidence, documents, books, archives, notes. These are the raw materials that I need for my research. But while I conduct my work, looking up old records, looking at treaties and maps and things like that, I have to constantly remind myself of the fact that this body of data, of information, is actually infinite, and that new documents, new maps, new treaties are constantly being discovered by other historians, and so the parameters of my research will continue to shift and change. Now, you get something like that in astrophysics, because in astrophysics there is the notion of the perceivable universe. What's meant by the perceivable universe is the universe that we can see. So if you were to walk around outside at night and look up to the sky, you will see a blanket of stars surrounding our planet. But an astrophysicist will tell you that that is only a very tiny portion of the universe. And there are actual reasons, there are scientific reasons why that is the case. One of the important points to remember here is that what we see outside at night, the stars that we see are the stars that are close enough to us so that the light from these stars can actually reach our planet. But there are, in fact, billions and billions of other stars and other galaxies that are so far away that the light from these stars and the light from these galaxies have yet to reach us here on Earth. And to compound things even more, the universe, we know, is also expanding. And as a result of the universe expanding fast, many of these very distant galaxies, are actually moving away from us. So the light from these galaxies might never reach us. Now that means that we don't actually see them. We can never see them. Now, does that mean that these galaxies don't exist? Now, that's a question that's very relevant to me. As I do my research, looking at data, looking at archival instruments, looking at documents and treaties, there must be many other documents and archival data that I've not encountered yet. And this is important because it reminds me that no matter how hard I work, no matter how scrupulous I am in my reading and my research, I must always remember that there might still be counterfactual evidence that I've not discovered yet, and I may never discover. Perhaps they will be discovered after I've stopped working, after I'm gone. And so for us in the social sciences and in the humanities, many of the lessons learned from the hard sciences are equally relevant to us, in the same way that astrophysicists are actually very humble about the claims they make about the cosmos, about space, because they are fully aware of the fact that not all the facts are there yet. Likewise, we in the social sciences and humanities, those of us who do politics, political theory, state and governance, international relations, or political history like myself, we need to always remind ourselves that our work is not the final word, that much of what we produce may be expanded upon later by other scholars, and so this is the thing that compels us to continue doing what I do. But what I wanted to share with you today was this very simple idea. Just because you find yourself in the humanities, just because you're studying politics or international relations, don't stop at that. We always talk about thinking outside the box. Well, thinking outside the box also means thinking beyond your discipline. So if you're doing economics, go and read some sociology. If you're doing sociology, go and read some history. If you're doing history, go and read some mathematics. If you're doing some mathematics, go and read some physics. That's the thing that makes for good scholarship. In the same way that it is proven that the more languages you speak, the sharper your mind becomes, the better you are at thinking differently in different languages. Likewise, in disciplines, it's important that we do not master only one discipline. We have to be acquainted with the other disciplines, including disciplines that are way beyond our field, way beyond the humanities and social sciences. And that's why I strongly encourage those in the social sciences to read some hard science as well.